This is a regularly scheduled meeting of the College Council. Today, though, before we convene the council, and by the way, we've set ourselves up in a church-like, ecclesiastical, ecumenical kind of way today, but these are the College Council members. And I take responsibility for some of this. It's a bit formal, but they look good, don't they? In any event, what we're going to do is we're going to delay the start of the official council meeting until after the State of the College report that is going to be given by Dr. Rocha. So, Dr. Rocha, if you're about ready here, I think we're going to hand this over to you for the State of the College report. Thank you very much.
Okay. Well, thank you, Bob. Thank you, everybody, for coming. We do have, Steve was kind enough to pull some seats around there, so, I'm glad everybody came out today. I really appreciate it. But get a seat, get comfy. I do have some things to say. So I hope you brought your Snickers bars, and, I've got coffee and cookies in the back. So we're going to move through. This is actually within a formal College Council meeting, and following the meeting, the College Council will get to some business. Okay, so before I start my formal remarks, I do want to thank each one of you and each one of our colleagues who are not in the room today for a wonderful start of the academic year. It's our 87th academic year. And, when I go around, there's some students every morning, in the C corridor who are sitting in the hallways waiting for classes to start. You know how that goes. And I always chat with them. I come in and say, good morning, it's the president, and so on and so forth. And I tell you, just absolutely, I always ask them, how's your classes going? How's your thing? They praise you to the skies. Our faculty, our staff, they have nothing but gratitude to you. And I just want to pass that on to you, because I know you work hard, you're busy every day, and sometimes people don't, the students don't stop and say thank you, but they do have fullness of gratitude for you, and I thank you for a very successful start of the year. This is State of the Council, so I thought we would do something very formal. So, we have the Republicans over here and the Democrats over here. There's one side of the room will stand up and clap on certain things. The other side of the room will stand and applaud on other things. Okay. A couple of other introductory comments. First, I want to make some introductions. We have many people who support the college, and none more important than our Board of Trustees, and we have two of the members of the Board of Trustees with us. First, I want to say secretary? The clerk of the Board of Trustees of the Pasadena Area Community College District, Mr. John Martin. John. And, of course, Trustee Anthony Fellow is with us today. I do, you see the executive team here. You've met many of them. Won't go through all the introductions right now, but I thank the executive team for a great start. You'll see their photos on Flickr as we move through the program today. And so I thank them for their service to the college. I do want to make two important notes. One is today is Rosh Hashanah. Okay, at sundown today, Rosh Hashanah begins. And so I want to extend to all of our Jewish colleagues, faculty, staff, and students our good thoughts and well wishes during the holidays, which lead in the next 10 days to Yom Kippur, and of course the well-known Day of Atonement. So we'll just keep that as a theme for today in both spiritual and secular terms, but my well wishes to all of our Jewish colleagues. And that leads me to a note that one of the projects that I hope that we will begin this year is a project that comes out of the White House and President Obama's Interfaith Initiative, in which one of the aspects of our glorious diversity here on campus is our religious diversity. And so that we hope, with the help and the leadership of faculty, to form an interfaith program this year, both education and cultural programming. And I want to introduce to you another member of the Board of Trustees, Berlinda Brown. Now, this is also, I wanted to note, we are also right in the middle of Hispanic Heritage Month, which runs from September 15th to October 15th. And as some of you may know, mis abuelitas, both my grandmothers, came to this country, one from Puerto Rico, one from Colombia, and never graduated elementary school. And neither of my parents graduated from high school. So the theme of Hispanic Heritage Month, which is renewing the American dream, is not just theory to me. I would not have the privilege of standing here and talking to you today unless I was a beneficiary of that American dream. So both this month and throughout the year, we will celebrate Hispanic Heritage Month by recommitting ourselves to making the American dream real for all of our students. And also, an announcement. You always have to have great announcements. Speaking of Hispanic Heritage Month, I see Dean Douglas over there. We've just been informed by the Department of Education that the college has won a Hispanic Serving Institution STEM grant in the amount of for the next 5 years, of $6 million. And big shout out to Dave Douglas for being the principal writer on that grant. So as I go through my comments today and talk about budget, he's the one with the money. You know, so, but no, that's great. And it's an example of what we're doing in the college in the past year in trying to secure additional external support. Okay, here I go. I ask you to kind of strap in here and just listen up for a while, because I wanted to, I prepared a text. And then afterwards, what's really cool about this today, Lancer Radio is broadcasting this live. Okay, big shout out for Lancer. Okay. And then towards the end of my talk, you'll see a live Twitter feed come up, so that if any of you are on Twitter with your phones, you can put in your questions now, and we'll answer them here and around the campus, and of course live. One of the great things about the start of the new academic year is the opportunity to chat about the books we have read over the summer. I begin every summer with a long goal and a long list. The great books I've ignored, the books I've been given, and the guilty pleasures I've set aside for that rare day at the beach. This past summer, I read more than I usually do because I was forced to do so in order to keep up with my English 25A class. Teaching my summer class was entirely regenerative. Teaching always gets me back to my roots, so to speak, and reconnects me to our core mission of teaching and learning. While my summer teaching was a welcome recharging, overall the experience of my first year at Pasadena City College put me in search of better answers to how I could serve the college as president. I found I knew how to do the job of college president, but I also found I had no map to guide my stewardship of PCC during a time when the concept of free public higher education is in the process of being discarded as a quaint 20th century notion. Well, rather than blame my circumstances on the Philistines, none of whom are in this room, I began a quest to learn how I could improve my leadership, which is to say, how I could improve my learnership. So one book I returned to this summer was Bowling Alone, you might recall it. The Collapse and Revival of American Community. It was published in 2000 by Robert Putnam. A decade ago, Putnam warned that our stock of social capital, the very fabric of our connections with each other, had plummeted, impoverishing our lives and communities. Over 10 years ago, when the economy was booming, Putnam showed we belonged to fewer organizations, knew our neighbors less, met with friends less frequently, and even socialized with our own families less often. We bowled alone, no longer in leagues. Putnam showed how changes in work, family structure, age, suburban life, television, and technology contributed to our declining social capital. Today, in 2011, after the merciless winds of economic calamity have battered every single community and left behind a foreclosure culture, the consequences of not securing our social capital seem to me apparent. Today, I see more clearly that our primary crisis is not one of funding our college, but one of finding each other. We must move past our current preoccupation with budget and instead focus on restoring our community. In other words, we must see our current circumstances entirely differently. I am not being fuzzy-headed here and merely wanting to schedule another ice cream social as a coping mechanism during these dark days for public higher education. Although there is no small benefit in ice cream and coping. What I am calling for is a complete revival of our sense of community, a restoration of our college's social capital. Doing so requires that we unite around a common narrative that is rooted in our long, proud past. A renewed sense of college community will require us to discard our divisional silos that currently organize most of our daily experience. We must speak to each other and learn from each other across the fences that we ourselves have constructed. The stakes of not doing so are high. Choosing to revive our college community is not just a nice thing to do. It is absolutely necessary if we are to refound the college for the 21st century, the way the college was originally founded in 1924 for the 20th century. Pasadena City College was originally founded in the optimism and exuberance of the Roaring Twenties, when an American century had dawned. In 1929, only a few moments after President Harbison, our longest-serving president, wrote the words on the frontispiece of my message today, the great crash came and the nation was plunged into depression. 3 years later, the great earthquake came and destroyed all of the buildings on campus, and the campus was intense for 3 years. A few years later, World War came. Our forebears at PCC never gave up. They brought the college through these crises and many more, and we will do the same. And we will keep faith with those who came before us and preserve for all of us in this room today the privilege, and it is a privilege, to serve this college and work for PCC. Our service, though, comes to PCC comes at a time when our great college is at a crossroads. We can choose to continue to be buffeted by circumstance and economic crisis, or we can set the college on a new path for the 21st century. The choices we make together for the next decade will determine PCC's future in what is now clearly a global century. Our most urgent task is to, in effect, refound the college, and we must do it not during boom times, but at a moment when confidence has waned, growth is not assured, and the American century has ended and a global century has dawned. But make no mistake, the state of our college is sound and stable. We therefore have time to face our challenges squarely and solve them fully. We do have some time, but we don't have much time. PCC is relatively healthy, but we exist within a larger context in which sustainable funding for free public higher education in California is unquestionably in decline. I'm pretty good at pep talks and cheerleading, but servant leadership also requires facing up to the facts. And the fact is that our state support is not just shrinking, but in my professional view, gone for good. In my judgment, we are not in a budget cycle in which we can expect our budget to be restored or come back. This is because the state's revenue model for public K-14 education, Prop 98, has been junked. The college is owed millions of dollars under Prop 98, that if we had them today, we'd be serving our students at the level of excellence. And the chances that those dollars will ever get paid back to us are slim. And along with Prop 98 being junked, Remember that? The California Master Plan for Education. That's been junked too. And my colleague, Tony Fellow, who serves in the California State University, is aware of how the seats are being constricted. When all of us came up through the system, when everything was open and almost free. Like newspapers, journalism, bookstores, Borders, the music recording industry, remember CDs, and most recently, this morning in today's paper, the United States Postal Service, we have lost our revenue model. And we are still operating as if the old revenue model will return and sustain us. Much of the education we are now offering our students is being given away free by Stanford and MIT and many other 21st century providers. There is no natural law that will protect public community colleges in California from further shrinkage. PCC itself is about 10% smaller than it was 5 years ago, despite unprecedented student demand. I am not, however, predicting gloom or doom. There is hope in facing up to these facts squarely and in concerted action together. PCC's future, we must choose it now, must not be to shrink to fit, must not be to shrink to fit public funding, must not. But must be, our choice must be to grow to meet student demand. Notwithstanding the rapid state funding, I believe that PCC's future is brighter than ever before. If we can use the time our college's relatively sound condition does buy us as an opportunity to reconnect to the two prevailing ideas of our college's history: social justice and innovation. A community college is at its core an institution for social justice. And when PCC was founded, the community college itself was an innovation, something that was hardly imaginable in 1924. Our task today is nothing less than to construct a new and improved argument for the importance of free public higher education. A stronger and more effective argument rests not on rhetoric, but on our actions in the service of our community. We must prove our value to our community by our deeds, not our words. We must offer demonstrations, not mere orations, of our own deep understanding of social justice and as a continuing experiment, a journey of discovery through innovation. There is not the slightest doubt in my mind that we will continue our tradition of excellence through innovation. For proof, we need not look any farther than what we have accomplished together in the past mere 15 months. This partial list of our accomplishments in the past year is a truly auspicious beginning that advanced PCC toward a leading role as a truly global community college. And I'm going to go through this list. This is just a partial. We removed the college from accreditation warning and reaffirmed our accreditation with the ACCJC. We developed and approved our educational master plan. The Academic Senate approved a new distance education policy, and we fully funded faculty training in distance ed and the migration to Blackboard 9.1. The Academic Senate approved 4 new SB 1440 degrees, which we're moving forward with, and I'm grateful to the Senate for that. We have initiated the college commitment with PUSD and CSULA that guarantees to students in our district a 2+2+2 pathway to the bachelor's degree. We have improved the PCC PUSD alignment in English and math. More students than ever came here this semester ready for college-level English and math, thanks to the work of our people in English and math. We expanded our support for cohort-based programs so that incoming district students are guaranteed the classes they need to make progress. Last year at this time, we had 308 incoming 12th graders from PUSD. This year, we had 868, okay? And every single one of them got an English and a math class. We signed a new contract agreement with the PCCFA featuring the SERP incentive, expanded funds for faculty training, and enhanced adjunct office hours. We signed a new contract with Issue that commits the college to a joint process this year to reclassify and upgrade the entire classified staff. We hired and welcomed 21 new tenure track faculty this fall. Could I ask them, I'm going to out you guys, if the new faculty, if you could rise and we could just welcome you with a round of applause. We established the Student Access and Success Initiative Innovation Fund of $1 million, thanks to the Board of Trustees, that enabled many faculty design projects. That could be a whole list all by itself, okay? And it's just wonderful work. We won 4 major sustainability awards that continues the college on its absolute commitment to the President's Global Climate Initiative, that commits the college to have a carbon neutral footprint by the year 2020, and we'll make it before then. And my thanks to the students for the work that they did on ITAP. And our ITAP program, the bus passes for students, has just been rocketing in popularity. I'm not done. We began construction, walk by the new Center for the Arts. The 3rd floor is in steel. It's on schedule for a late fall 2012 opening. It's in a year from now. That thing will be open. We stepped up our external grants. You heard the HSI STEM grant, resulting in a current total, okay, external grants to the college, $17 million. Okay, that's what we bring in from the outside. And my thanks to, where's Nancy? Nancy, there you are. She writes most of those. So now you know who really has the money around here, or really gets money. This past year, we received over $5 million in private donations, one of the best fundraising years the college ever had. Most primarily bequests to fund increased scholarships. We are getting near the point when we will be able to assure every single human being in our district that if you need to go to college and you don't have the means, we can take care of it for you. And we want to be the first college to be able to do that. We had, I think Jim Arnwine is in the room, and of course Alex, recently retired, but he's around and about. Our Center for the Arts campaign, $3.5 million goal. We've raised $3.2 million. Okay, we'll exceed the goal by the time the Center for the Arts. When I say, one of the things that I've learned, that this community's love for you is devout, I mean it, because they're putting their support behind, okay, not individuals and so on, but the idea of social justice and innovation. They believe that's what we're doing, and that's why we're garnering this kind of support. By any standard, this is an extraordinary record of achievement by an extraordinary faculty and staff. Given this record in little over a year, we can be more confident that we will continue to implement our educational master plan, the primary goal of which is student learning and success. Toward this goal of student success, our Board of Trustees have adopted 10 objectives for 2011 and 12. There are copies, or at least there were copies in the back of the adopted board goals. And of course, it's a public record and it's on the website. So some of you, I see, have copies of those, and I'll refer to those briefly. All of these goals are equally important, and we are all hard at work on them. The most significant of these goals are, of course, those that will enhance support to faculty for effective teaching and learning, period. Everything else comes second, period, okay? So our goals to upgrade our technology, Vice President Cable, improve basic skills, continuation rates, strengthen our CTE programs, smooth the class schedule for students in their progress to degree, are moving forward rapidly, not as proposals from the administration, but as supported opportunities for faculty innovation. I have every confidence that we will make astonishing progress this year on these goals. There is one goal I want to pause on for a moment because it involves everyone in this room and implies new strategies for working together in shared governance. And I speak of the goal of realignment of the college administration. I have received the most comment on this particular goal. And so I want to offer some straight talk. In my informal conversations with the leaders of the Management Association, the Academic Senate, the Classified Senate, the overwhelming advice I was given was to speak straight, say clearly what I think we should do and why we should do it, and why I think we should do it, and then to ask for your help. The help of faculty, staff, and managers in constructing a college-wide consultation process to study this goal of realignment and develop a recommendation this year. I am going to take this advice right now. Plain and simple, we need to align the administrative structure of the college with our college mission of student learning and success, the primary measure of which is the number of students we graduate. There are 4 major reasons to pursue this realignment in order of importance. Number 1, we must, in reverse order of importance, we must put the shared back into shared governance by returning to the faculty the responsibility and the resources to manage our academic programs for the good of our students. This would mean considering returning to faculty department chairs elected by their own departments. Our Board of Trustees recently received a report that the faculty chair model is the normal and prevalent one in the state community college system, and that those colleges like PCC without faculty chairs report significant problems with communication, faculty participation, and student success. Now, you'll see later on the Twitter feed, one of the Twitter community, in my Twitter community, their sign-in is BT918. So whoever BT918 is, I want to thank him or her for sharing a recent article that's in the LA Times that stated the problem clearly. And when you go to the Twitter account, you can read the whole article yourself. It's as clear a statement as it could possibly be of what my approach to moving forward and shared governance is. But the subheading of that article is, the problem with schools is not teachers, but a management system that pushes teachers aside. All of the intelligence, all of the wisdom, all of the soul of a college rests with its faculty, and we must create a new administrative system with faculty at the very heart of it. Now, the moment that I say that, I mean no disrespect to myself or to any of my colleagues who serve as managers or staff members, okay? When we went to South Pasadena last week, and we had members from the community say, "You're a really great college. Oh, but by the way, one of the men's restrooms is kind of dirty." Rick Van Pelt and I said, "We'll go get a mop." Okay? Our job is to do whatever it is we need to do to serve this college. Okay? And of course, we need the wisdom of all staff and the heart and soul of all staff. But part of our difficulty is that we need to make sure that faculty are at the center, not at the periphery, of determining what the academic program will be and managing it. I want to be clear on this, okay? Read the article, because whatever the article says, that's what I believe in. I'm not a fan of Michelle Rhee. I'm not a fan of Bill Gates. I'm not a fan of any of these cockamamie reform movements. They're not going to work for one fundamental miss, all right? And that is the people who are the teachers need to be primarily responsible for running a school. It's as simple as that. In that article, it said General Motors went down not because the line workers all of a sudden didn't know what they were doing. It was management's problem. And now it's our problem together to try and improve on. This implies no criticism of anyone, but I do need to speak straight today. Number 2, we must take down the administrative silos and stovepipes, and you know what I'm talking about, that create artificial boundaries between ideas and are getting in the way of faculty collaboration and innovation. In a truly global community college, all boundaries must be questioned, all borders must be crossed, especially those that divide academic disciplines and intellectual free trade. Faculty collaborations and innovation is all the more important in an environment in which external grant funding is indeed available, but only for innovative ideas that are cross-disciplinary. Okay, Nancy can tell you, you come in one little department, there's not much money for that. Okay, it's more holistic, it's more global, it's more integrated. Number 3, in the current state funding environment, we must look at the cost effectiveness of every non-classroom service we provide. With classroom instruction as our number 1 priority, we must examine every other service we provide and ask the question, what is the most cost-effective way to deliver this service at a high-quality level? This may take some investments. This may actually take some spending of money, which is we're prepared to do with the technology upgrade to move out our current legacy system and move in a new modern system. And 4th, but most importantly, we must align our administrative structure for the sake of our students and to advance their goals to transfer or get a job. I have this photo in my office, that photo back there. I think Tim Baruth is here, and he took the photo. I didn't know he was going to take it, all right? And that hangs in my office, and it shows our graduates from the last commencement day, graduation day on Robinson Field. I keep it as a reminder of my own goal for PCC, to grow this college and fill up that football field with graduates, okay? I mean, we got a few yards to go there. But it's a visual for me to show that what our real goal is. It is time for us, we talk about a student-centered college, and we have that in our heart, but it is time for us to study how a faculty-centered academic management can lead to a truly student-centered college. Okay. Next steps. At this point, I do want to thank each one of our current instructional deans and managers. Each one of them, I've done their work. I've been a dean. I've been a vice president of academic affairs. Each one of them is an able administrator and a tireless advocate for student success. I assure them in public today, as I already have in private, that no matter what realignment we propose, that not one of them will, of course, lose their job, their title, or their salary. Just not going to happen on my watch. These good colleagues, our managers, are not part of the problem. But these very good people will be part of the solution, and I do thank them for their leadership. And we should thank all of the deans and managers right now. So what would a realigned PCC look like? I don't know. I have some ideas, but I'm not sure. I do not have a specific proposal today other than to say that there are several prevalent models used by other very successful community colleges in the state of California. One of these models is in our own college catalog that calls for 4 instructional divisions. Perhaps this is the model we end up with, perhaps not. But this is where I need to ask for your help in engineering first a college-wide process to study the goal of realignment and develop a recommendation. As this is the College Council, okay, I will ask the College Council's existing Planning and Priorities Committee to take charge of engineering this process. We need a process for the process, okay? We have our educational master plan. We've got it. It's up on the website. We have our board goals. We have those. They've been adopted. Now our task is to do the planning that will lead to the achievement of these objectives. The Planning and Priorities Committee is chaired by Vice President Miller and President Ed Martinez of the Academic Senate and comprises 18 members of faculty, staff, managers, and students. I will ask the Planning and Priorities Committee to convene quite soon and get right to work on forming an all-college consultation process with a timeline. This committee should be inclusive of anyone in this room and anyone in our college community who wishes to participate, and it will have the support and the resources to do its job. In addition, all next week, the managers and I will be working together directly and extensively to develop models and options for the Planning Committee's review and consideration. Okay, so I'm rounding towards the finish here. let me talk for a moment about budget. You'll note today that I have said precious little about budget and cutting expenses. We've cut a lot of them, as you know, and we have a lot of vacant positions, as you know. But I haven't talked a lot about budget today because I do not see this as our main problem, as I've already suggested. A real problem is one that money alone can't solve. Our primary effort must be to relight our imaginations and create a culture of innovation in which the only answer is yes and. Now, those of you in theater, teach acting and so on, know the Chicago improv. The first thing they teach you in improv, okay, is that whatever you're working with when you're on stage, the response to your fellow actor is yes and. Because the moment you say yes but, okay, you've negated everything, you've shut it down. You've shut down improvisation, you've shut down creativity. So we need to shift to a yes and culture. And doing that, I know, look at what we've done in the past year. I know that we will secure the resources to do the job. The problem is not money. But our challenge is the plan. What do we want to do? And let's go after it. So I'll leave budget there. But if you are interested, there it is, okay? And basically what it says is that, you know, most of our budget is paying our salaries and benefits. I'm very proud of serving this Board of Trustees who have set out among its primary goals, which I think is not just humanitarian, although that's where it comes from because I know their hearts, but it comes from running a good college. You can't run a good college when everybody's scared to death that they're going to lose their jobs and lose their benefits. So that's just not going to happen at PCC. Not now, not ever, period. Okay? It's not negotiable. Okay? And that's what these trustees have supported. All right? And so we're one of the few colleges, despite all the challenges, that there have been no salary reductions, no furloughs, no layoffs, none of that. No. 100% contribution of benefits, health benefits, and you know what it's like out there. That will stay. That's not going onto the table as a bargaining chip, period. All right? That's a part of who we are. But I do want to remind us that money is tight. And there is another state budget cut looming. You know that, okay? We'll get through it, partly because our board supported a generous SERP. SERP is the early retirement incentive, and that enabled us to move a significant amount of salary from our budget. We had 88 colleagues who elected to take the SERP, and they're now drawing their retirement plus the SERP incentive, and all of their salaries are, you know, off our budget. And that kind of saved the day for this year. But we'll get through nonetheless. But I want to talk to you about something. Since the SERP deadline of last June 30th, you recall, I have had a number of colleagues, and there have been others who have reproached others in the administration, who have asked if SERP is still available, because they feel like they missed it. Indeed, some of these colleagues report, and I credit this, that they hesitated to take it because they did not want to let the others around them down, that they thought they had responsibilities, and I can understand that. This is understandable and a cherished value of the PCC family, but these colleagues should not be punished financially for their selflessness. So for humanitarian reasons, I will recommend to our board next week that we extend the SERP election deadline to December 31st, 2011 for all employees. Now, given the board's approval, and I must go to the board with that, we must, by contract, and I'm happy to do it, meet with our union partners, PCCFA, ISSUE, CSEA, and POA, to present this proposal formally. If we come to agreement, this will mean that we will be able to assist some current colleagues financially. At the same time, we can relieve pressure on this year's operating budget, and every penny helps these days. So because we're going to take those dollars that are saved, they're kind of they're used, if you will, but we have to reinvest those dollars in the upgrade of staff and the upgrade of technology and so on, so that we can be more productive but better paid. Okay, and that's where I'd like to for us to go over time, and we can do that if we make the right investments. So I just wanted to announce that out loud because I know people have been hearing about that and so on. If you do have any specific questions on that, I ask you to speak to Vice President Lastamato, our new HR Vice President, who has the details on it. But of course, we will engage our union friends and work through this towards an agreement. Okay, I'm closing now. Yesterday, I don't know if Sarah is here. Yesterday, I was interviewed by the Courier on my first year as president. And I was asked what I thought was our most important accomplishment over the past year. I actually had ducked Sarah for a couple of days because I had gone 2 consecutive couriers without my name being in the paper. And so I said, you don't need to do an article on me. And but she insisted. Now, earlier you heard the long list that I made of the things that we've accomplished together. It really is, amazing what you've done. But in my answer to the Courier, and I hope it comes out right, is it she was taping it. I did not hesitate with my answer. It was the hiring of our 21 new full-time faculty. Okay, that's the heart and soul. That's who I serve. That's who we are here to serve. There are angels here at PCC. A few of them are our colleagues who led our new faculty orientation, our orientation for new faculty. These faculty servant leaders chose hope and created a year-long syllabus. Do get the info and attend. It's wonderful. The first talk by George Boggs was wonderful. And they created a year-long syllabus for our incoming class of over 24 full-time and adjunct faculty. During the week before the opening of the fall semester, our new faculty bonded across divisional boundaries. It was almost as if they were realigning. If they didn't know what their alignments was, they would have just realigned, they would have just done it. In a series of academic and orientation activities. There was a lot of eating going around. And the crowning event was bowling night at the Montrose Bowl. Don't know if you've ever been there. It's one of those retro 1950s movie set bowling alleys. You got to go up there. Faculty brought their families, and there were many young children there arguing over whose turn it was while we all enjoyed pizza. It was the most fun I've ever had at PCC. And I have a really cool bowling team T-shirt to prove it. So there it is. And there's a T-shirt and a place on the bowling team for all of us. Now, I also want you to know my goal this year. One of my personal goals this year is to not spend any money on clothing because you're just giving me clothing. I did want to do a shout out. Speaking of T-shirts, to our math division, who last year gave me this. It says Math Division on it. Now, when they gave this to me, I said Math Division. At first, given that I'm an English teacher, I thought that was a problem, that was an instruction, Math Division. Okay, and then I realized it was them, and and right here, and I'm so grateful for this. They put the founding year of the college, 1924, and the symbol to infinity. Okay, so I want to thank Math for that. Let's give them a big round of applause. Those are shameless plugs for additional bling at any time. More and more, I see our enjoying our time together as absolutely essential, even a prerequisite to creating an authentic college community. Once you've bowled a few frames with someone, or shared a bowl of ice cream, or a cup of coffee, it's so much easier to discover what we have in common. And what we have in common is that we're all just going to go home tonight to our families and do the best we can for our families and do the best we can for our students. Let this year, our college's 87th academic year, be the one that is recorded in a future history of Pasadena City College as the turning point in our development as a global community college in the public interest. Thanks. Now, I don't know if we have time, but while I'm just sitting here filling, maybe you can put the Twitter feed up and see what we've got. And meantime, we have a little time. This, by the way, is okay. I'll use the mic. This is Twitter feed. You see, last week I was with the ESL Languages Division. We had our little hour together, lunch hour, and we did a live Twitter feed. Somebody just put one in. Well-deserved kudos for the new faculty orientation team. It's been a terrific experience so far. Thank you for that. So this is a Twitter community of about 200 people in this Twitter community. I try and stay completely away from college puff or PR or self-promotion, and I try and share what I'm reading and thinking as just me, not the president of the college. A lot of it I talk about, try and share articles or books I'm dipping into. So, and I've also found in that lunch hour that it's good for live questions, and it's also there are applications in the classroom, right? Because you can get students on it, and they can be just feeding questions while you're moving through the class, and you can be responding to them both from the screen or even on your own iPad. Let's see if we got okay, looking good with the budget, or is there more pain to come? I covered that. What's your vision for PCC? Again, I won't take a lot of time with that. Will there be more pathways? Thanks a lot. Will there be more pathways through SB 1440? I think you're working on that.
There's a committee. There is a committee working on the SB 1440 degrees. I don't know if Armando Duran is in the audience. He's back there. Would you answer that question, Armando?
Absolutely. Currently, there are 10 in the hands of James and Liz Rocha, who are in the process of finalizing them. They'll be forwarded to the CNI first, then the board, and then the
So the answer is that they're on their way.
And Ed, what are the 4 that you already have?
Well, we approved the degree in psychology, sociology, and I think that math and communications are pending at the chancellor's office.
Okay, so and they're already in. Great. That's really important. SB 1440 is the program that if any department makes a program and the students go through it, they get a guaranteed seat at CSU in that program. Faculty orientation team on the thoughts of creating a new look PCC's website. Yes, definitely. Juan Gutierrez, who I always want to thank for all his good work in PR external relations. Big shout out to Juan. Okay, set up all this stuff. Thank you, Juan. The answer to that question is yes. I don't know, and this is a plug for actually the prototype of it. The prototype of the new website is the PCC Pulse. Okay, if you're not already on it, go to it. It's on the website, and they're working on it. They kind of look like that. Okay, and he's going through a consultation process. So work on that, and of course that'll dovetail with what we're doing in technology. Okay. Anything else or any other questions that I can be helpful with at this point? At all? Okay. Good. We'll keep those coming. I'll turn it back over to Bob and again.
Some questions.
Okay.
I think I understood you to say that it would be 2020 before the restructuring would be maybe complete. Now, I've been through restructuring of a high school in PUSD, and it ended up, after 5 years, a failure. And it's right back to where the old classroom is in high school.
Okay.
The principal had to leave. The faculty had turned against her. She brought some fabulous ideas from New York City, where they are very advanced.
The Bronx, was it the Bronx?
Was it what?
Was it the South Bronx? Was it? Yeah. Nah,
No, but it was schools.
Those ideas from the South Bronx, man. You know.
It was were schools that you had to walk through.
Yeah.
You know, detectors and all
Yeah.
that stuff. But they've written books. It's collaborative back there. I think they've made really nice strides.
Yeah.
But coming to California with her husband, who was an attorney, the faculty by the end of 5 years had basically just turned against her, and I was her secretary, and they just didn't understand how much she loved education and students.
Yeah. I think she's a candidate for a job here. No. Well, you know, again, that's, you know, I think it's a cautionary tale, okay? But again, I don't have a proposal for this, but it's something that the board is asking us to look at. Very different day, 2011, than it was in 2006, okay? Or any time before 2006. I've been an administrator for a long time. Actually, when I came out of the South Bronx, I've been in Los Angeles for 35 years. So I can tell you that many years as administrator, my biggest problem was how we were going to distribute the COLA, okay? So we're not in that situation anymore. The state's not backing up the truck with any more money. So that's not a hit on any of the managers, but we're going to have to look at the best way to deliver every service. And if, like I said, if that means I pick up a mop, then that's what it's going to have to mean. And you know what's going on in Unified. But no, those are the kinds of cautionary tales that will be part of the process. Yeah. Question back there.
Hi, I'm Paige Wilson in the English division. I've been here 26 years. I currently teach 7 classes, 220 students. 4 of them are 1-unit classes. I don't even have time to see my family. I'm grading papers so often, let alone my colleagues. I wonder how, when we're given more responsibility, how we're supposed to, especially in the English division, with our extra load that we always have to grade the papers, how are we going to handle that when I can, and it's 1-unit overload, by the way, that's it, just for one of the 1-unit classes. So how are we going to do that? I'm confused.
Well, again, I don't have all the easy answers for it. I'd say this, that you can't have, what you have now is responsibility without resources, okay? You can't have all the responsibility without the resources. So we have to move towards a system in which the resources devolve back to the faculty directly for them to manage directly. Academic leadership, I mean, my own philosophy, if we're going to make mistakes, then the faculty need to make those mistakes in academic leadership. They need to decide those things. Right now, many of those decisions are being made for the faculty, all right? And that's not, to me, the optimal system, especially in this system. So those are a couple of thoughts, because certainly, and again, Amy was my dean and very helpful when I taught my class. I know about grading papers and the load that it takes. That's exactly what I'm talking about. That is exactly what I'm talking about.
Different from basic skills. Teach two 400s, a 1B and 4, and 6 grammar classes and punctuation classes, and it's going to be really different. So I just wonder. And I've been here a long time. I've seen this place go through a lot of changes. And it sounds like the changes might be something that, with the addition of assessments, all the things we've been made more responsible for on the computer, all of the programs that we're always, having to hook into already, if we add onto that the management of everything, honestly, I'll just have to wait and see. And I'm a yes and, but you know what I have to say about the yes and the improv? Improv is different from theater. Theater is planned, theater has a script, theater has art attached to it, and theater has a completeness to it and a theme that is consistent. And improv really, I've never seen a good improv. So to use improv as a model, I personally, it doesn't mean very much to me. But I love this place. I love it. I love everybody here.
Anybody from Chicago?
I know all of you. And I may never say anything like this again, so I'm just simply telling you because we haven't spoken. I haven't actually personally met you, at another meeting. And so I'm here today because it was the first time I could get here, and I just want to tell you what I thought about it. And I don't want to Twitter it, but I just wanted to say it. Thank you. And I want.
Let's get somebody else, right? Who has their hand up.
Thank you. I'm Gloria Horton from the English department. I have a question. I'd like to know if you would make it a little clearer for me. Even though words are my business, I'm not quite sure I understand under the heading of realignment that we have on the trustee policy printout. You have something about the division of instruction, and you mentioned something about four groups or four categories. Dr. Rocha, I wonder if you could explain that in very simple terms for me.
Okay.
Thank you.
Well, again, I think I referred in my text, in my comments about the 4 reasons I thought we needed to do it. Look at what you just said, okay? That today you're giving the input after 15 months, all right? It's not because, there's something broken. It doesn't have to be realignment, it doesn't have to be department chairs. There's something broken. The number one thing everyone comes to me with is, I'm not in the loop. I'm not getting the communication. I'm not hearing what's going on. And I'm saying to myself, well, geez, we have meeting after meeting after meeting after meeting, and it's not getting out to the most important people, the faculty. So the number one reason, and again, you'll have to, if you look at our SANFAC colleges, our consortium, we're the only college without department chairs, faculty department chairs. And communication, right? Of course, you have Amy there in English. That's cool, totally cool, right? But we have, if I was a department chair and I'm trying to do SLOs or program reviews for, say, political science, I'm out of my ken. You need to have a department chair to sit down and do, just like with hiring committees, to do that discipline's academic leadership, evaluation of faculty, mentoring of faculty, and most important, the mentoring of students in your majors and getting your students through and making sure that, the advisement component. Sure, that's going to take resources. That's going to take resources. But in my view, without, asserting a particular proposal, we want to take a long look at where the resources ought to be. And in my view, it's time to take a look at whether the resources ought to be returned to a more conventional model that most successful community colleges use. And that's all I'm asking. So that would be both your questions kind of go to the heart of communication. And we need to figure out how we can do that in a more effective way rather than just doing this once a year. So, other thoughts or comments? Yeah. Okay, we're back to.
You said Pasadena City College is the only community college that doesn't follow this this rule of not having chairs. So, are you talking about just the colleges, the community colleges within California? I needed a little
in
clarity.
At our last board retreat, our LCW, our general counsel, Mary Dow, who is probably the most respected general counsel and serves most of the districts in the state of California. We had a long talk with the board about, realignment with goals and so on and so forth. And Mary offered the information that most districts do not have our alignment, and most districts who have gone away from the department chair have rued that decision because it has resulted in taking the management, the responsibility, and frankly the resources away from the faculty. That has nothing to do with the criticism of the deans or what's going to happen with the deans or so on and so forth. It's just that information, that's the normal model in California community colleges, CSU, and so on. So alignment means not just a restructuring to save money. In fact, it may not do that. Okay? It may not do that. Alignment means to align the the work of the college so that it advances students' progress to degree. We are not aligned. The SB 1440 degrees show that was a law that had to come in because we are not aligned with Cal State LA. We are not aligned with Cal Poly Pomona in terms of we send transfers there, but our programs are not aligned. And the law now is to align your programs so that you can guarantee that your students get those seats in the CSU. So what I'm talking about is not administrative cost savings or just changing the org chart. What I'm talking about is looking at, okay, and I appreciate these initial responses, and that's why I think we need to have a process, an open process that's longer than just obviously today, that will study this issue seriously, because the real issue is not realignment or not. The real issue is what's the best method of achieving the goal of student progress to degree, okay? And I can tell you that, with some of the SASI initiatives, okay, that faculty have, those faculty, I think, will report to you that it's extremely difficult to move across the divisional, lines and so on. So that's just one example. But was there another one? Uh-oh, Dan, how you doing?
One question. I noticed that for videotape today, a lot of people would like to have been here and they couldn't make it here. Can you tell us how they can see the videotape later on?
Juan, how are we seeing the videotape later on? Okay, we're going to capture it and put it on the Pulse. Click.
We're going to caption it. So that's going to take, how long will that take, Juan? A couple of days. So in a few days, it'll be up on the Pulse.
Good. Question back there.
Hi.
There were 9 other goals,
My name is Kay Yee, and I'm from the Visual Arts and Media Studies. I started in 1982, and we had chairs. And then we had Office of Instruction. And then their responsibilities increased and increased, and then it became deans. And then, so now it looks like we're going back to the chairs. And what I wanted to know was, what will be the responsibilities of these chairs that then report to, I assume, fewer deans? And I mean, it's unclear to me. So I guess that's some of the clarification that I hear some of the faculty asking.
Yeah. Well, certainly, it's kind of, I think there are answers for that question, and I'm not in any way evading the question. It's probably a little premature to get to the details. Of course, when you get to faculty department chairs that are elected by the unit, you're talking about negotiating with your collective bargaining representative, and we'll have to have, good partner conversations with the faculty association, and we're prepared to do that because, and again, there's a model for that. There's an app for this. Okay, where the colleges all over the state have this conventional model. The key issue is this. Okay, the speed of the game, I call it, the speed in which everything is happening. Okay, you talk about we had this then, we had this. I remember a time not too long ago when I left on Friday, I didn't get a single communication until I went back to the office on Monday. You remember that? Okay? Now I'm working 24/7. Literally 24/7. This thing is going, and and the deans and it's the same thing. Okay? And we have to have therapists to get us off that addiction, to stop, you have to get your wife to shut the thing on. Okay. The speed of the game is so fast, and there's so much administration going on, and not enough faculty think. Not enough academic intellectual work, in my humble view. Okay? So, who is most responsible for doing the SLOs of a particular course? The faculty. Who's most responsible for doing the program review of a particular degree program or workforce certificate program? Got to be the faculty. Even when I was a dean, I never directed that. I was a dean, I never did. I had a chair. I'd work with the chair. I supported the chair, but only the chair of a particular department, again, in my experience, is able to sit down, mentor individual faculty, and say, oh, have you done your assessment? Oh, I did my SLOs. Have you done your assessment of the SLOs? Well, what's that? Okay, well, let me show you. Okay, and then on and on and on, and then the other key component is you have to look the modern world, right, is everything runs from your iPad, right? Everything you're running everything from your iPad. We're trying to get the whole world, the whole school onto that iPad, so that students we have so many students out there, and they need to be seen to, and in my view, the best way to see to them, to humanize the relationship, is to break it down to its smallest reasonable parts. Now, a lot of the faculty do that already, just as a kind of a natural course of what you do as and so I have no no criticism. But what I'm trying to do is this is the time for us to study what the best alignment would be. Okay, because what's particularly, again, if you look at our alignment with, say, other community colleges, it doesn't not norm. Now, maybe there's a reason for that that's perfectly good, and we all decide, okay, fine, no changes, all right? But I think what I'm asking us to do is to be open to the study of it, and not to shut down the process before it starts, okay? I'm asking us to look at this as an academic and intellectual process in which we would pose difficult questions and come up with, responses, and then we can evaluate those. But the most important thing is the North Star has to be what's best for the students, and if what's best for the students is, I really believe, I read the article that's on my Twitter account, I really believe what's best for the students is the smallest possible administration you can have, period. The Board of Trustees is asking us to continue to make smaller the administration and staff, okay? Not just saying we can't fill these positions, all right? A lot of those positions are not, I'm trying to be straight up, okay, and not, I think Martha was next. Okay, Martha. Thanks for these. This is helpful to me.
This is not to change the subject, but...
Okay. A different goal.
Yeah, actually, different. I'm actually going to talk about the technology aspect. So talking about realignment, I'm thinking also the flow of resources, that there are so many faculty who are hampered in doing their job. You keep talking about Twitter and the iPads and et cetera. We don't have that. In fact, most of us, particularly those of us who use Macs, have these recycled things that sound like they're going to take off any minute, that crash every other hour.
Well,
realignment's great, but how about realignment of technological resources so we can help students progress by actually doing our work?
No, Martha, I'm with you. We talked about, when teaching a class, some of our classrooms are like the Montrose Bowl of, community colleges. But you know what, that's a long subject, but I am going to put Dwayne on the spot, okay? And just have him, just to speak a sentence or two about his plan for making this right and making this faculty-centered. So, Dwayne.
Well, a part of the process here is, I think, what is this, week 6 for me? There's, and in those, so what's my problem, right? Why haven't I got this stuff rolling? One of the things I have been doing, and I have been meeting with faculty, I've been meeting with whole departments, I've been meeting one-on-one with faculty, and we're looking at, while we're trying to deal with the administrative information system, we know those issues. We don't need to study that a lot. We do know that we have process issues. So we already have a plan for moving forward. In fact, we're getting ready to go to the board with some particular work so that we can get that process started. That is already, in my head, all the dots are connected. So I've really been focusing a lot on meeting with faculty and departments and understanding their needs. And in fact, we've already taken some steps in some departments to, let's see, what was our example of, in business, we have a class that's being taught. I'm trying to remember the faculty member that was involved in that, but Shelley, yes, wanted to teach Outlook to 100 students, and they need email accounts. We set that up, and now they're teaching. There's other faculty that are making other types of requests, and we're exploring within the Information Technology Services Division about how we can start offering services there. So in my view, it's as we're continuing to go down this path of trying to understand what the needs are, and that's part of still a process that we really need to do. We still have a lot of discussion. I know I get probably, I'd say, a dozen emails a day from faculty. Now I get about 250 emails a day, period, but I'm learning more about what is needed, and I think we do have a plan. You know, I'm not so bent on the iPad. In fact, I'm expecting that that we are able to provide whatever connectivity and whatever type of any place, any location, any device. In fact, I guess most of you are carrying them now. Phones, other types of devices that says, how can I get to resources? How can I be able to access anywhere, whether you're on campus or off campus, whether you're in Boca Raton, Florida, I don't really care. I want you to have your same desktop wherever you are. Go to any class, any location, they all have the same type of capabilities. Those are some of the plans we're trying to put together now. So we know all our classes are not equally smart, right? So we're looking to try to address those issues. But this is just the start. I know we have a lot to do, and a lot of that input and how we go about it is really going to come from the faculty and all the groups that help put that together. Hope that addresses the question.
My item was on goal number 3, student-centered, and because of the new financial aid regulations and looking at students and making sure that they're in an eligible program and that they are going to progress in a timely manner. Our ability to do that and what we're seeing right now is a good percentage of our students have just gotten a class, and they were instructed to just find a class. So by the time, I'm not sure how we've got students in cohorts, we've got students who know exactly which track they're going to be on, but we have a number of students who have probably been here about 2 years, who haven't been in any track or in any type of cohort, and now, you know, we're looking at maybe 1 more year by which we can really provide services to them. What is the plan? How do we capture those students and get them on a path and a direction to completing something?
We kind of revamp the enrollment management function because, again, whether you call it alignment or not, we manage our schedule in 11 pieces. Okay, we don't do a college schedule, as I'm sure you know, and as the counselors know. We do 11 separate, you know, divisional schedules, and the students have to scurry and see if they can, you know, get, you know, 4 classes, right, that qualify for financial aid. And then you're raising the issue of, given that system, you have a lot of students who are lost in space, okay? And, you know, we're quite well aware of that, so we have to get them retracked, and I think Bob and the deans are working on that.
You know, we're talking a lot about realignment this afternoon, and there's actually 2 kinds of realignments that are being talked about right now, one of which is actively happening, which is the realignment of the overall organization of the college under the new vice president team. One of those teams among that group is what we call Team 1. That's the teaching and learning team. And that's Dr. Jacobs as our Vice President for Academic Affairs and Instruction, Dr. Bell, our Vice President of Student Learning Services, and myself as the Ed Services Vice President. And just before this meeting, Team 1 met, and we were talking about the winter schedule, and we were talking about it in the context of progression and completion, progression and completion in particular, and how we can build the winter schedule and more specifically the spring schedule to get more people to successfully progress and complete. So there's that dynamic. There's this teaching and learning team, the 3 vice presidents and the areas that we're responsible for, working collaboratively across areas to progress and serve and complete more students. Beyond that, under the rubric of our college council, we do have an enrollment management committee and the standing committee. And this group is going to be looking at enrollment management in support of what I like to call the North Star Educational Master Plan and our student success achievement targets that we have in that plan, and also our signature goals. And the purpose of this committee is going to be to help the college understand what it takes to create schedules that overlay on the moving of those student success achievement targets, because that's really what it's all about. It's about that completion. And so this committee will begin to look at that, and we'll be working very closely with faculty and with whatever structure we end up in the instructional area. And last but not least, I want to assure you, Kim, that, and I want to assure any students in here, that the last thing we're going to do is leave anybody stranded in the system. That whatever changes are made are going to take into effect that the fact that we've got people who are already in a pipeline, and we've got to make sure we get those people through the pipeline to whatever their goals are of degree or transfer or certificate or just basic skills, or our CEC students or what have you. So I think, you know, some of you have been here a long time. I think it is a new day and a new approach, and it's brought upon by the realities of our current situation.
I think it's really important, though, what you raised, Kim, is because that's a classic example of the stovepipe. Because why are those, those students have been here a long time. They're in the existing system, and they're in the existing system that is completely stovepiped. They go to student services, and they get some information. The counselors, right? The counselors actually advise students, get anything you can get, wherever you can get it. That's not a system. Okay, that's not a system that's serving our students. Now, I'm not saying that that's, that's all going to get solved by this, that, but we have to look at what is the best structure so that students who are coming in can get tracked. And now, of course, we have to do some redressing to make sure that students who are kind of, have a whole lot of units, but they don't, move to a degree or certificate, that they're, pulled out, if you will, and just kind of put on a track. And that's a lot of work, but it can't be done by just one unit. It's got to be done by all the units together. So go ahead.
We got one right back here.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I think you were being patient. This.
I just have a very quick, well, you can make it a quick answer.
No, that's all right.
My quick question, my name is Melissa Michelson. I teach in the Languages Division, ESL. And realignment number 1, it says develop, recommend, and complete in this year the college-wide realignment of the administration and staff. What would be a more specific timeline? Because, just to share what some of my colleagues and I have been talking about in our offices is, we're afraid that things will happen without having consulted the faculty, and then all of a sudden it's summer break and we're all gone, and then some decision has been made, and we come back and things are different.
Mm-hmm. Well, one thing, I'm going to publish the text that I read today online so you can read it. And again, my recommendation was that we have the existing shared governance form an all-college consultation process so that we can continue this conversation and fix a timeline for developing a recommendation. If, there are no, we'd like to, I think a reasonable timeline to study this and develop a recommendation would be this year. I think that's what the board is asking us to do. So I think we should try our best to see if we can fulfill that goal. When we get to the point, let's look at it. Let's form the group. Let's do the study. Let's do the consultation. Let's develop the recommendations. See if that's better. And when we get to that bridge, let's, and time runs, the clock runs out. Let's, take a look at that, and we can either lay it over or not. But I would also say that what you've put your finger on is one of the problems of the 21st century college, okay? This college doesn't sleep in the summer. Decisions, the speed of the game is so fast. It doesn't stop in May, and then we wait to start making decisions in September. The board is making decisions all summer on things of really importance to each one of you and each one of our students. We have to create a system. And if realignment isn't the right word, then the group will choose another one. But we have to create a system that matches the circumstances, the decisions we make. And so exactly the opposite. I hope that you serve on the group, okay, so that we can get to the substantive, issues and input and so on. But again, I think if we're academics, right? The first thing we do is give ourselves this assignment and do some reading. Let's make a syllabus for this and do some study, okay? And we'll see that you use the word afraid, okay? You'll see that there's also a healthy alternative that other more successful colleges than us are using, okay? Not that we're, in bad shape, but there are colleges that are more successful than us, that graduate more students, that generate more resources, and so on, and so on. And I think that we can match that. So, but good. I want to make sure that we get to everybody. Yes, there you are. I'm sorry. Pardon me.
Yeah, as you can see, we're getting hot over here. I do not tell. So I'm a counselor and a teacher, and I teach the career planning courses. Yeah. And one of the things that I've always admired about Pasadena City College is a student can come here and they can try something, and it doesn't work. So then they try something else, and it may take them 3 times to pick a major. Now I feel this pressure coming to the student. You've got to get through. You've got to get your major. You've got to get out of here. Well, that's great. I mean, if we have to do that, you've got to remember who are our students. Not everybody's coming here to go to the university. Not everybody's getting a certificate. Some people are working. They're coming here to get 2 classes to get a promotion. And then if we hook them, they come back and do more. And my concern is not to forget who they are. We have a lot of have-nots. They don't have a computer. I took my class to the computer lab to do an inventory. The computer lab couldn't print it because there's no printing in the D building. And so I said, the students, I'll send you an email and you can print it at home. Students are reluctant to come and tell me that they couldn't do it because they don't have a computer. I mean, we assume that everybody's connected, but they aren't. So then the next thing is it possible for us to come up with computers for students that would be really cheap so that they could buy them in our bookstore, or they could be, do you know what I mean, so that we could reach out to more people? And not everybody gets financial aid. They work just enough so they got enough money so they can get into the class, but they make too much money to qualify for financial aid. Right. So I just want us to remember who our students are. They don't all have everything. They don't have a computer. They aren't all connected. And they don't even want to tell you that, right, because they feel they should be.
Yeah. I was one of those students. There's probably a lot of people in this room who are one of those students, okay? And I do wish, that the body politic, our neighbors out there, all right, were kinder and gentler to education right now. But it's when you say, where's the pressure coming from? Okay, the board of trustees, our board of trustees can't raise taxes and to increase the funding. The only way we can increase our funding is, again, to try and re-engineer our processes so that we can raise more money. Your idea, I think your idea is, we have to, what would be the way, right? Because it's not happening now, right? Students are getting lost in the system. What would be the way that we could retain that value that you spoke so passionately about? That's what we have to do. How do we retain that in the program? Well, some of that is going to be a resource issue, right? More sections and so on costs money. So I'm not saying we can't do it, but we need to figure out a way that we can obtain the resources so that a good component of the program is students who are as you put it, finding themselves, okay? I remember, I'm not standing in front of you, if I hadn't been able to walk on the campus of Cal State Fullerton and say, you have a master's degree program on this? And they say, oh yeah, the window over there, okay? And I wrote them a check for $176. And that was for the year. So, you all, remember that. Those days are gone, okay? Those days are gone. Our students can barely find jobs out there. We're the most privileged of the privileged, okay? We're the few left on the island, all right? And so what we have to do is to figure out, how we do put the capability in our students' hands, especially those who are the most vulnerable in this economy. So I'm with you, and that's exactly the conversation and the input that we need to have. And not just have that and then let it go for a year, okay? Let's engage that and see how we keep that important piece in the college that you clearly want to do, and I share that. So I thank you for that. So who else? Yes, you were waiting.
I work in financial aid, and I'm with customer service at the front desk dealing with our students.
Right.
This week, we've had a really tough time with most of our students. They're waiting for their checks. It takes us about 10 to 15 working days to deliver a check to a student.
Right.
I mean, I've worked in private industry where we receive the monies today and pay them tonight.
Right.
And I promised one of the students I'd bring it up, and that's why I'm bringing it up today.
Right.
Is there a way, or is there something that the management is looking at to deliver checks faster to our students?
Yeah. No, I appreciate you bringing that up. Is that let me ask, is that just a business process? We're doing it by hand? Is that a computer thing? What, the question is, why do our students have to wait for checks?
The answer to that is yes. It's all of those things. I think part of it is process, and part of it is our system and the caliber of that system right now. So as we get the new one and put it in place, that those issues will get resolved. In the meantime, we obviously going to have to go the extra step like you're doing to deliver it if it has to be hand delivered, and to provide that type of high touch service until we can get some of that fixed.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks for the question. Right. Right. Okay. And look at what you just said. Right. That's what I call stovepipes. We do this in financial aid. The bursar's office gives the checks. This is the year 2011. Okay. It's not your fault. Not my fault. Okay. It's not anybody's fault. But we need to fix it now. We can't wait another year to fix this. We can't wait another year, whatever you want to call it, alignment. All right? Believe me, there are community colleges in this state now that don't have this problem. Okay? So this is not worthy of us. We are spending resources that we could use to support the students that you're talking about. And instead we have, imagine what it's like. Imagine, okay? And I'm sure you have maybe people in your own family. What it's like to have to wait for a check in order to go to the grocery store. Okay? We have to do better. So I appreciate that. We're not going to, that's part of the, the real world of the revision of the business process. You got another one we're going around. Go ahead.
Yes, hi, my name is Sarah Miranda, and I'm one of the counselors. On behalf of my colleagues who are also counselors, I just wanted to say something about your earlier comment. And we get a lot of students that come through the counseling office, and we do lots of group orientations. We try to assist the students as much as we can so that they do select courses when they are open. But the scenario is when we get students that come in and probably have been denied admission to a Cal State or to a UC, now they need to select a class. It's 2 weeks until the semester starts. We basically have to tell them, you have to go and search and try to see what's open. We're not going to turn the student away. So that's what I just wanted to
and I
add
appreciate
to what
that.
you had said earlier.
And, and in no way, and I thank Cynthia and all the counselors. We've got, a great group of counselors. But how many counselors do we have? Okay, total. Thank you to all of them. How many counselors do you have total, Cynthia? 21 counselors. And, okay, enrollment stats. How many students do we have? Okay, 28,000 heads. Okay, we have 22 counselors and 28,000 students. Our counselors are pulling off a human miracle. Okay? It's a miracle. Students are out there doing anything, right, given our system. But our system, is profoundly broken. And if I approved 10 more counselors. Wait a second. You didn't let me finish. It won't help. You know what I'm saying. We're going to have to figure out a way that a lot of our processes are essentially brought up to date, digitized. Our students are getting most of their services, in digital kiosks. So our human beings, our counselors, our professional counselors, our faculty chairs who are advising their own students, okay, can do the human being work, okay? And that's, this is great. Really, look, we should take this whole group into the consultation committee and just keep this going, because this is what we have to get to as we layer down to some of this. And then we'll bring in, the research, because we're academics, right? We shouldn't make decisions just because of anecdotes, even mine, or especially mine, okay? All of my ideas should be tested, but so should yours. We should look at the evidence, okay? That's going to take some time. But we know that in all these areas that we can do some things differently to get our students, where they want to be. Who else? Yes, you were waiting. Okay.
I hope you don't think I'm dominating because I make another comment, but I just want to say, first of all, you're the key here. And just as many faculty that are here, there's that many opinions about how a classroom should be run. I would like to see one thing. I'd like to see the counselors get together with the division and understand the kind of questions that were being asked by students, because they said, the counselors told me to come here and you say to go there, so that we all know what we're doing.
Right.
And then I want to just comment on the faculty here.
Right.
I don't know everybody. I've been here 11 years, but the faculty I know are very, very good. They're passionate. Coleman Griffith, our architecture coordinator, led a division meeting yesterday. It was excellent. I've never heard so many comments from faculty. And I think, if you don't know, engineering and technology and kinesiology are already under some changes. And my opinion is they're going fairly well. And so I'm excited about this. But you are the key. You're the key to your administrators. And I just hope, faculty, that you listen to your classified staff once in a while,
No, I appreciate that. And, I thought I am well aware of the changes in E&T. So I thought when I came out to E&T, we had a good straight talk conversation, and that's what I'm talking about. Okay, we didn't talk in E&T about, deans and administrations, and so we talked about what's best for the program, okay, and work back from that outcome. So if we keep having that conversation, it'll come out right, and everybody in the family is going to stay in the family. But these things that you see firsthand need to be fixed today. And we can put our heads together and fix them, because most of it is process. I really.
And speaking about putting our heads together, the colleagues in the pews over there we've got some work we need to get done. So I don't want to cut this off, but maybe 2 more questions, and then we can move on.
Anybody else before we go? You've been great. Really appreciate the conversation. Yeah, math.
I just want to clarify, because this has been bothering me since you said it, and sometimes there's a difference between what someone says and what another person hears. But,
oh, yeah.
But what I heard, and that's been kind of bothering me, is that you were talking about that other schools are more successful than us because they graduate more people. So is that what we measure? Like, is that how we're measuring success? Because it's by graduations. I only ask because, I know people come here for different reasons.
Again, I'm speaking discursively, extemporaneously, and and responding to your questions. Well, look, by the stats, we're a great college. But there are 6 colleges that are ranked, that are about our size, that are ranked above us in the number of transfers to CSU and UC. In Chaffey, for example, in the SANFAC, Chaffey has a much higher basic skills continuation rate. That is from students who start at the beginning, who get to the college level. So I'm not saying, well, we need to compete with them. But, I am saying that we need to not, just kind of rest on our laurels and so on. But as to your question about goals, I think that's the question, isn't it? That's the question that you raised. Our Board of Trustees approved an Ed Master Plan, okay? And Jack Scott, who used to be president of this college, all right, said there's only 3 things that the community colleges are about: degree, transfer, workforce certificate, okay, the degree and transfer together, and basic skills. That's it. Those are the chancellors. Those are not suggestions. That's the law. So what our trustees approved was an Ed Master Plan that we worked together on that shows how we are going to advance more students than we are doing now to their degree, transfer, workforce certificate. So in straight answer to your question, is that how we measure success? Largely, yes. And in fact, you're aware, Trustee Mann is not with us, but you're aware that they came within a whisker, right? In this, Trustee Mann serves on a task force. They came within a whisker of passing the Carolou bill that would be based funding no longer on initial enrollment, but final completion. Okay? That's coming. So all I'm trying to do, believe me, I wish the email would turn off. I wish we had COLA this year, and my big problem. But I'm just trying to get the college in a position to prosper in the coming circumstances. I do think one of the things that we, and this may be anecdotal, okay, but one of the things that we're seeing in the enrollment this semester is that more better students are coming. That we have the highest rated high school in the state in our district, San Marino. We have South Pass. We have Temple City. We have La Cañada, Flint Ridge. Those are 4 of the highest performing high schools. Those students are showing up here in much greater numbers than ever before. So what's happening? Well, in one sense, that's a good thing, because some faculty report to me that, hey, it's kind of cool to have, better students and so on. But what's going to happen to our basic skills students? All right? Well, if we don't get out in front of it, we're certainly not going to abandon them, right? Can't. But now we have a pretty diffuse kind of distributed model for basic skills education. And what it's going to mean, right, is that we're going to have to, continue as you're working on. You guys in math are working on it, and you're doing great. We've improved a great deal just in a short time. And so that in both English and math, that we kind of do away with a little bit more with the levels and the assessments and be able to find a program where students are able to get from where they are in the 12th grade to college level, in a year. And if a student can't do that in a year, then we need to get that student some other help, not abandon the student, okay? But we do need to realize when you ought to come out and with us when we take the board on the road and talk to the parents out in the community. When you say goal, the community, yeah. That's all the parents are asking our Board of Trustees to do. Get their classes, get them to CSU. Okay? Now what we have to do is to use our resources more efficiently. So I think alignment is a good idea, so that instead of 11 schedules, we can just have 1. It won't change really any faculty workload. It'll actually improve your life, I think. But we'll talk about that. And do that and preserve resources so that we can put the resources into making sure that our basic skills students are succeeding at a much higher level. You have to realize, too, I have a son in the 9th grade. I'm sure many of you have sons or daughters in high school, okay, are coming through, all right? You would never advise, no matter what their level in basic skills, and my Sam is not great at math, we're working on that, but you never advise students, to go into basic skills, if they could help it, because it doesn't count for credit towards their degree. It doesn't count for credit towards transfer, okay? And students, as Kim says, are using up their financial aid eligibility on basic skills students, and at the end of 2 or 3 years, they have no money left and no credits towards degree. That's what we're doing for thousands of our students. I asked Dr. Bell to pull up the number of students who had, I think, more than 90 units. More than 30 or more, okay? It was into the thousands, like 8,000 or 9,000 students, okay, who had 30 or more units, were getting close to graduation, and weren't even going to get close, okay, unless we intervene and, as you say, kind of track them. In fact, one of the answers to your question, Kim, is that Dr. Bell is going to do a version of that photo finish Friday for all these students who are kind of lost in space. So I love your question, because these are essential questions about our values, about our ethics, about how we're going to serve our students. And you know what? We're going to have to make some choices. But I think if we get in front of that and don't turn this into a binary between somehow there's an administration who, you know, woke up and just decided, well, geez, we want to do this. Okay? I'm trying to return the priority planning to the faculty, to return it to the faculty. But when it's returned, the faculty will need to make the recommendations, not me, on what the priorities are. You can do that over time. You can do that over time. In other words, we have 50 or 60 degree programs, many other workforce certificate programs, and so on and so forth. We have some programs that there's 3 or 4 students in and no full-time faculty, and we're still running them. Okay? Now, the administration doesn't want to make a decision to teach those programs out and put those resources into these other things that we've talked about today. I think we should, but we can do that in a kind, gentle way that respects everybody in the family now, but fixes these things for our students. So, yeah, I'll leave it there. Question back there. I see a student. Go ahead. Yeah.
About transfer seems to be the winter session, and we've been fighting this, well, at least I have, for 2 years, and it's always on the chopping block, and it's very essential to us maintaining that pipeline that you mentioned and getting people transferred. Is that going to be safe, since you mentioned that we're a little bit safer economically than the past?
Well, there's no plan to do away with the winter session, but you know, straight talk. You know,
exactly.
Straight talk. You know, the college can't fund more sections than the state sends us money for. Okay, that's called a portion.
Even if we have money at the end of the year left over?
Well, again, if you look at the adopted budget, okay, and it's there, and I invite you to sit down with Dr. Van Pelt, there is not money at the end of the year. Let me explain. Okay, on this big white book that I put on the book, I think what you're referring to is that at the end of the year we show that we have a balance of almost $19 million. I think.
No, I'm talking about the $4.5 million that got swept.
Oh yeah, that was. I made the recommendation to the board. The board accepted the recommendation.
But is that our priority?
Pardon me?
Is that our priority to put it in that account?
Yes,
rather than funding,
for the technology upgrade?
Funding classes.
Yeah, that is our priority. We have to get the technology completely revamped. We have a 1982 legacy system that's 1982, okay? We have a system here that some high schools have a better system, okay? So the trustees, thank goodness, instead of spending every dollar every year, have put seed money away so that Vice President Cable
But then doesn't that money come from cutting classes? Isn't that why we had the money at the end?
There's no one at the college that cuts classes, okay? We have reduced class sections because the money comes from Sacramento, All right? And so Sacramento actually, remember in my text, read my text, there's another cut coming. Okay? That's not a cut from the Board of Trustees. That's not a cut from the administration. Sacramento is going to cut the college another $2 million in January. And what they do is pretty complicated, but faculty understand this, that they reduce workload. That means you are not allowed to fund more workload for faculty, that is more sections for faculty than Sacramento has budgeted you for. So what I'm trying to say, okay, is to try and fill you in on that. And I understand about the need for more sections. But I think we're going to have to work through it, in some of the ways that we're suggesting. I mean, some of the things that we need to do, we can be more efficient in the way we do the class schedule and so on. The current winter session has about 250 some odd sections in it. That has always served a small number of students. And so what we're going to do, that won't come close. If we were to double those sections, which we don't have the money to do, it wouldn't come close to approaching the need. We could add 300 sections tonight, and they'd fill. You know that. So what we're going to do... Pardon?
Wouldn't it help more people to transfer?
Well, it would if we had the money.
We can't get everybody.
Okay, so what we're going to do is we have to make some priorities. So one of the things we're going to do in student services this year is that we're going to pull up the record of every student who is close to graduation. Say, for instance, you're only 15 to 30 units away from graduation. We're going to pull you up on a list, and then we're going to call you in, and then we're going to guarantee that you get your classes in winter and spring. That's called serving students, making priorities, given the tight money. So any student, just like the new incoming students, so any student who needs a class to graduate in June will get it. Okay? And that's the program that we're working on. But that will mean that some students, right, will come behind that in the priority. It has to mean that, okay, because that's the amount of money that Sacramento is sending us. So we're working on that, so I hope that helps a little bit. So the
number one priority for the negotiations is not to cut winter session because that's what we were told.
We're negotiating in public? Wow. Who said that? Who said that?
I don't want to mention the name right here.
Okay. Well, if you don't want to mention the name, then it sure didn't come from me, Danny. So, but the issue is, you know how many sections are in winter, right? Okay. What I'm saying is that there are 286 sections in this winter. Okay. That's down about 20% from last winter. Okay. The reason for that is not because the college cut them, is because Sacramento, the truck pulled up with that much less money. All right? We kept the same number of sections in this fall as we had last fall. Okay? Check the stats. We added 60 sections in English and math for students to make sure that they were able to get a start. What I'm saying to the gentleman, the student, that if he's within 15 to 30 units of graduating, he's going to get his classes first to make sure that he graduates. So for the college and the trustees, it's not about keeping winter, not keeping winter. It's about making priorities with the little bit of money that we have and making sure that we can move all of those students who are the closest to graduation through first, and then the ones who are next closest next, and then and on and on. So, but no, that's why, right? That's why we have to look at this, create this consultation, right, so that we can look at what's best for students. But if we are going to have a conversation about, well, heck, we just want to fund more sections, then the response from the board and the administration was, well, how would you suggest that we fund that? Okay, given the fact that Sacramento last year, okay. Final budget. I got the book right there, and you're on the budget committee. All right. Last year, our budget was $120 million. Take it all around. This year, right? less than 112. That means the truck showed up with 8 million real hard dollars less than we had all of last year. 86% of our money goes to pay all of our salaries and benefits. 86%. There was a small amount of money left over, about $4 million, because as staff well know, we didn't replace any positions. We're asking staff to work harder, more jobs, fewer people around you. That's how we got the money. So we took the board, I made the recommendation, and the board accepted the recommendation to take that money that basically the staff earned by working their fingers to the bone, and took that money and put it in the technology account. So, and we have a good stash in there, good fund of money. The Vice President Cable and you on the consultation committee will decide what to do. It'll cost, I don't know what the millions of dollars, but to put a new ERP in, an ERP is a new, like a new banner system, is going to cost millions of dollars. Okay? So these are the difficult choices that we're faced with. And so we would love to have you on board with the discussion of that. Okay?
Well, I think what he brought up is the bottleneck of you can only take so many classes at the same time. So if you get rid of winter session, it slows down the process of getting through getting your degree. So I think that's why he brought it up, and that's why I was asking, because we were under the impression that that was a priority for the administration. They wanted to get rid of that. So
no, and it's a great it is a great point, and that's why with the enrollment management we'll do. One of the things that we'll be doing, I hope you participate in it, is we'll actually be looking at all those 286 sections. And it is reported to me, but we'll find out, that not all of those sections are going to teach students who are transferring or graduating that June. Okay? In fact, in some cases, not many of them. Right? Now, if you're talking English, math, but English and math say we don't do winter session. Okay? Because that doesn't fit, our curriculum by and large. Okay, all right. Sorry, I misspoke in saying, okay, all right. And in the short winter session, that some of the well, then you tell me. Okay, it's what math courses? We're running math courses in winter, right? Okay, which ones? The basic skills. Okay. Okay.
Of course, we would run more math if we had more opportunity. But yes, we have, and we've added a few, fortunately, for our basic skills students. We were able to add some courses now in fall. And Charlie is hoping instead to be able to take some of the ones that were going to be in some other session and add a few more even into the winter. We know their demand is there. Right. I would like to say that in the winter, we were thrilled when we first started this whole thing because, well, I hate to say it, but all of you know that we have a lot of students in math who have to take a course again because they don't get through it the first time. And so the wonderful part was that in winter, many of those students who didn't get through it the first time had a chance to take the class, get on track, and continue right on with their program into the spring. So, it does affect the students at both ends, both the ones you're speaking about getting ready to graduate, but also I teach a lot of those at the other end, and I also am grateful for any opportunity we can give them to keep them on track as well. But yes, we do have as many sections as you will allow us to have. We will find someone who will teach them in the winter.
See, and therein lies the problem with the whole system, okay? It shouldn't have to be that an administration allows you to have X number of sections and so on. You should have the resources, all the resources available to you, and then the faculty get in the room and make the priorities about what goes on with the schedule, what classes go on first before these classes, what students are served first before these students. You should be making those decisions, not somebody outside those departments and outside the, we can't get there from, in my view, from the current system. So, yeah, that's right. So, okay, I think you got, we'll call it call it there. Thanks so
Thank you very much.
And we'll see you soon.